First, some caffeine. And I actually got a hold of the new Alani, finally. Okay, I never get the new Alanis, so I got 4 of them because I'm sure they'll all be gone by the time I want more. It's, cherry bomb. I don't know, it's alright. Okay, it's okay. Cotton candy's better. Alright, let's see how this goes.
And that is our next topic. A fun topic indeed. Trans rights and female rights. Are they different? Should they be separated? Should trans have different rights than women? Duh. Of course they should. Do you know how many women face abuse? There used to be a statistic that would say 1 in 10 women go through sexual assault or sexual harassment. I don't believe that. I believe 1 in 10 women is willing to speak about it. I believe 8 in 10 women are harmed. Maybe 9. Severe, we'll say 2. Severe cases, 2 in 10. Okay? 8 in 10 are harassed. 2 in 10 are very severe. So that leaves 2 women untouched, maybe, if you're lucky. And this is my own. I'm making this up in my head. This is heaven. We'll call it heavenometry, okay? This is heavenometry, you guys. So don't trust it. This is girl math.
So the point I'm trying to make here is just that we don't need more men in women's spaces because women already face enough abuse as it is. And honestly, the statistics on young boys who face stuff too is astonishing, and we really do need to fix the criminal system.
But literally, I do believe women need safe spaces because so many of us have been assaulted or touched in ways that messes with our brains before we're developed, before we're a teenager. And this does something very different to your brain capacity, and it makes you live in anxiety and fear. And women need a space where they don't have to feel that way, especially if they're getting naked or they're in a vulnerable position. It's just not okay. If I go to a gyno and my doctor is like, I'm a woman, but then I get there and it's a dude in a dress, I'm gonna want to leave. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna want to leave. I've never been to a male doctor for a reason. I don't want a male doctor. So if I want to go to a gym and I want to be trained by someone, I don't want to be lied to. If I go into a gym locker, I don't want to see ding-dongs swaying in the air, okay? I don't even want to see old lady tits, much less ding-dongs. It's gross. It's gross. And all these cases of men going...
It's so funny. It's so true. And if you guys haven't seen that case, I actually wanted to add it, so this is perfect place to add it.
At Gold's Gym!
At Gold's Gym.
Men! Grown men!
Men. Grown men.
We're big!
How big? Show me with your hands.
In the women's locker room!
In the women's locker room, you say? Which location? Asking for a friend.
And that's why I'm getting kicked out.
Well, that's funny because that's why I'm signing up. I mean, my friend is signing up.
And I want to make sure the girls know.
Well, this girl is definitely thankful that you did.
So, everybody saw that man in the locker room. No one's saying shit. And I'm fucking done with it. It's stupid.
Before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe, because today we're going to be talking about Tish Hyman. Now, she is a woman who decided to confront a trans woman, aka a biological man, who decided to go into her women's locker room at Gold's Gym here in Los Angeles. Now, I'm going to show you a video because we actually have footage of this confrontation. Now, let's see what we can see.
How are you?
Did you tell me or not that women like to see?
Asking you question.
Exactly. Get out of the way now. No.
You heard what she just said. She said, did you tell me or not that women like to see the D word? You guys know what she said. Let's watch.
Now he knows how to be a man, right? Now he knows how to be a man. Stay out of the women's locker room.
Now she's saying now he knows how to be a man. Now he knows how to be a man because all of a sudden he's, perking up and saying, get out of my face with a whole ass man voice. Guys, this is what's happening. Okay. When we say trans people in sports here or in the locker room here, or we have this entire bathroom debate, this is what it turns into: actual real life confrontation and sometimes lack thereof when grown ass biological men are finding themselves in women's spaces, in very vulnerable women's spaces like that of a locker room at a Gold's Gym. This is where women and girls are changing, mind you. So they're going to be naked. He presumably is going to be exposing himself to these individuals, although I cannot speak to this particular occasion, although we do hear her say, did you or did you not say that women like to see D word? Okay. So if he actually said that with his full chest, said that to her, think about the implications of that. Think about who this individual is if they're willing to say that to a woman. Think about the other people who could be in this women's locker room at this Gold's Gym, and think about what they're experiencing with him in their vicinity. Let's keep watching.
We don't want it. He needs to have his gym membership revoked for that shit. And the woman told you. He assaulted me. The girl told already. We already filed reports. No.
That's fine. I want the video.
You can't get rid of me for this. I'm a woman and I have every right to not want a man in the restroom when I'm naked. There are girls naked in there. Look at them walking in there like it's okay. It's not okay.
Yeah, and there you go. He just struts, shall I say, right back into the women's locker room. Now you hear him say, last time this happened, as in this has happened before, he's found himself in the women's locker room before. And I wonder for what reason, given that we hear a certain account of what he said to this woman. And she took a video of me, is what he claims. So then the gym employee goes, you know what, then both of you are out of here. Then both of you are getting your memberships revoked. And it does seem as though this woman has had her Gold's Gym membership revoked. So just think about that. Just let's work through the concept. Let's put that Cynthia Erivo meme right here. Let's think about that. A woman being in a women's locker room and a man comes in. He says these words to her, at least according to her account. He's been there previously. You have other women and young girls in the vicinity of a grown ass man in the women's locker room, and she's getting her membership revoked from Gold's Gym. This is 2025, guys. And I thought for a moment, like we were slowly getting on the other end of this. We're seeing graphs that like young Gen Z members are trending down when it comes to trans identification. We're seeing a lot of support for women who are speaking out on these issues, and Tish is getting a lot of support. But yet still in this very day, we have women experiencing this in their communities, in their gym, a place where you should feel safe, a place where you should feel comfortable.
So yeah, this is happening, and this woman was willing to speak up. Most aren't. Most try to let it go. Most are worried they'll be attacked, being called a transphobe, or all these awful words. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's ridiculous that they are allowed to self-identify themselves as women without any type of mental diagnosis or help getting through the dysphoria. It's just insanity, especially when it comes to the kids getting medications and stuff without any doctors involved for long enough. You know what I mean? It's crazy. We'll talk about it more. Let's keep watching.
Into women's bathrooms, locker rooms, and spaces just to harm them. Putting on a dress just to harm women. And this is a fact. Let's go take a look, because there's plenty of cases. I won't even overwhelm you guys. We'll just look at a couple.
When a drag king enters the ladies' room, go drag out that creep. If a boy lines up to race your daughter, expose him as a cheat. If a man's flashing his ass
women
in
deserve
public, make
their
sure
own
there's no
spaces. They
repeat.
deserve safe spaces where only people with vaginas are. Okay? Okay?
And yeah, that song is so dope. It's AI, but dude, that AI creator, they hit hard. They have an Epstein song. It's dope. It's so good. It gives all the details. Bubba, get it out of screen. Kids are crazy. That's why I make a good mom. I'm crazy. Anyways, let's jump back into this video. Okay, what was I saying yesterday? Okay, so yeah. Well, I've totally lost my thought process of where I was yesterday. Let's continue to watch and just know, yeah, this really is happening everywhere, okay? Nationwide.
And if you have a ding-dong and you want to be in a women's bathroom because you're a woman, and you really are, say you're really transgender, okay? Let's take Blair White because she's the most famous example. Blair White, you know what she would do? She'd go into a stall because she'd be respectful. And that is all we are asking for. Transgender used to be extremely respectful. A lot of trans women would try their very damnedest to fit in with the women, not go against them and force themselves in there. Like, it just doesn't make sense. We're going to go listen to what Blair White said about it because she puts it amazingly, honestly. And Trump signing this act, this executive order, bless you, sir. May God shine light upon you and all you do, okay?
Yeah, I am so grateful. And as you guys know, this is happening now with sports. We are not allowing transgender kids into the sports with young girls. And it's just wrong for so many reasons. So let's go hear what Blair White had to say. If I have anything to add, I will add it at the end.
Human rights, as if sterilizing children is a human right, as if dominating sports is a human right, as if going into a change room, whichever one you feel like, is a human right.
Adam Graham was a predator who abused vulnerable women. This is the same person a transition made after they were arrested. They were initially sent to Scotland's only all-female jail.
2 female inmates at a supposedly all-women's prison had just become pregnant. You wonder how that happened.
I worked behind the scenes so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to surgery.
And if you were wondering if there were any other corners of society that this ideology could try to reconstruct, change, and or infiltrate, you probably weren't surprised when it got down to prisons, when it got down to males in women's prisons, sometimes men that were convicted of serious crimes against women.
Adam Graham was a predator who abused vulnerable women, a double rapist who attacked victims in their own homes. And this is the same person, now known as Isla Bryson, a transition made after they were arrested, when they were initially sent to Scotland's only all-female jail.
Or suddenly being placed in women's prisons, all in the name of compassion, which is about the most sadistic thing you could do. The idea that any woman deserves the punishment of being placed with an abuser, a man who maybe has previously harmed women, in a jail cell, all because that man, who may or may not still have a 7-inch dick, is supposed to be there based on protecting his feelings, is absolutely insane. And it's another thing you couldn't find any common ground with the activists on. Even this, no one was willing to admit that this goes a bit too far. It was all about prioritizing the safety of the trans woman and women be gone. And that is just, who could have ever thought this movement could sustain itself going forward if that's the case?
I dare you to try and stop me from going into a women's bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make.
So we will talk about the bathroom thing. Before we jump into it, let's just look at the cases here nationally because, yeah, that was international. It's happening everywhere. But I want you guys to see what's happening in our country right now. And hopefully now that this bill has been signed, it can be stopped because it's just ridiculous that it didn't stop last year. It's crazy. Update on some recent cases and data that have shaped discussions about safety in women's prisons in America. As of early 2025, there are about 22 transgender women housed in federal women's prisons. A small amount compared to the overall inmate population and transgender population altogether. Most transgender women are still in men's facilities. There have been several widely reported incidents involving these placements. For example, Edna Mahan Correctional Facility in New Jersey. 2 female inmates became pregnant after sexual contact with a transgender woman who was housed there. Now, it could be the case where I'm pretty sure they were raped, but I could be wrong. It sparked lawsuits and policy reviews. Additionally, separate lawsuits at the same facility and at Rikers Island in New York alleged sexual assaults by individuals housed as transgender women. These incidents, along with broader data showing higher rates of sexual victimization in custody, are part of why policymakers and correctional systems continue to review and debate how to safely house transgender inmates while protecting the safety of all women's prisons. So I do believe Trump made the right decision, and I hope that they get these men out of women's prisons.
Trans person is not going to attack you in the bathroom.
Forcing women to share private spaces with men is not dignity and not respect.
I took a picture of him and I asked him, why are you there? You're a man with a penis. Why are you in the women's locker room?
Bathrooms. If you were to listen to the trans activists, you would think that it wasn't until 2015, 2016 that society even knew how to engage in public restrooms politely and how to just do their business and go in a way that wasn't problematic. And here I was watching the first bathroom bills be signed into law saying, whoever had an issue with a bathroom? Even transsexuals. I'm looking around at no issues ever. And suddenly you had liberals still caking off the money from the gay rights era, from all the money they raised for gay marriage, didn't know what to do with it, had to go try to solve a legal problem that didn't even exist. And what does that do? It pisses people off. And of course, because the political takeover of trans, the woke mind virus that came in and dictated that trans can mean anything and you don't have to transition, you can just be a fully grown, very scary man, right? Suddenly you had issues like the infamous Planet Fitness debacle. This is a $400 million photo. That's how much Planet Fitness lost in just 4 days, and here's why. An elderly woman who was a customer of Planet Fitness went into the women's locker room, saw a little girl wrapped in a towel and appeared to be afraid. She then saw a man shaving his face in the sink. Planet Fitness actually sided with the man after he said that he identifies as a woman and didn't have to leave. And customers are upset. They're canceling their memberships, as they should. And as a trans woman myself, I just have to say, is the trans woman in the room with us right now? Because I'm not seeing trans where? That's an entire man. And in my opinion, the women's locker room is off limits for even trans women that transition. So the argument for this whole man to be there is what? I'm just thinking, imagine this was my mom having to deal with this. What of my little cousins? Imagine your sister, your aunt, your niece. Women's safety comes before your feelings. You will live with having a shower at home. This is clearly just a man taking advantage of inclusivity policies, and Planet Fitness is really taking an L for defending this. I mean, it's reprehensible.
Yeah, and also Planet Fitness just had a case literally 2026, I'm pretty sure. It could have been the last month of 2025, but it was very recent. And I will add that right here because it was insane.
It doesn't matter. You are a male in the female bathroom jerking your bro.
You can take a dump, or pee, or shower at your house. If you a trans, you ain't gotta pick a bathroom to find yourself in, knowing that you don't even look like a woman. Let's get into this. I gotta show y'all the craziest sugar honey iced tea I done seen on the internet this year. Somebody help me. People need to sue Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness, what in the are y'all thinking? So put the person on the screen. Planet Fitness let men go into women's locker rooms if they just feel like a woman. They ain't gotta look like a woman. They ain't gotta be a woman. They can just feel like a woman. And so look at this fool with his flip-flops hanging under the stall, beating his junk in the women's locker room. Homeboy ain't even dressing like a woman, but he in there wanking it in the women's locker room. Like, what are y'all doing? Play the clip, you don't believe me. Roll it. He wanking. There ain't nothing else he could be doing on that stall but wanking. Homeboy in there dry rubbing. What? Why? Why though? If you a trans, you ain't gotta pick a bathroom to find yourself in, knowing that you don't even look like a woman. You could have went into the male locker room and did all that same stuff you doing. And to be honest, if you were wanking it in the male locker room, people probably wouldn't even worry about you. Like, oh, that homeboy crazy. But you doing it in the women's locker room. And then when you're done doing it, what you gonna do? You gonna do it on the floor? What you gonna do your thing at? You gonna just do it on the floor. So a woman to come in there and step on it or something. You going to hell with your sorry self. I'd have whooped the socks off of this dude if my wife told me a man in there wanking it in a locker room.
And they're just like, what do we do? Eventually, they follow me into the restroom to, see this for themselves. And they knock on the door and they're like, come out, like you see in the video, like, come out. And honestly, like I said, no hate to the workers at all, but they kind of just stood there and looked at him. Like, they didn't really do much at all. Like, they're kind of just there staring at him. And I'm just like, okay, so if y'all aren't really going to say anything, then we're going to say something. And so that's when my boyfriend is like, this. you're making my girlfriend uncomfortable. You're a weirdo. If they're not going to do anything, then I'm going to do something. He comes in and, you know, starts going off because, like, somebody needed to say something. I'm sorry. So he kept trying to say, oh, he's transgender. He was drying off, like, and you could tell just by the way he was acting. He is guilty as And I got the question asked.
Have you ever seen Chris Hansen To Catch a Predator? Have you ever seen those episodes? They act the exact same way that this guy acted. Nervous, backpedaling, in complete denial, and trying to gaslight at the same time. This is a big difference between transsexuals and transgenders. I truly believe there will be a time where trans will be illegal if this keeps going down the road it's going. Because you think these guys, this is the first time this has happened, you're delusional. This is the first time he got caught. And if you think this is the only guy doing it, you're also delusional, because this has become more and more prevalent as time has continued and as democratic laws have allowed, where you're literally saying you're the party of women while actively putting women in danger and uncomfortable and prioritizing men, their feelings and identity over the safety and comfortability of women. Like, I heard this was in California. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm telling you, as a Democrat, if you don't think Republicans are going to use videos like this to completely attack your credibility, you are freaking dumb as a stump. Stumps are smarter than you. Fungi is smarter than you. BBLs are smarter than you. Like, you created a society and have allowed a society to run amok to where normal people are thinking to themselves, why be a good normal human being anymore when the horrible people are not only getting away with horrible things, but they're making money off of it as well. Institutions, organizations, funding, things like GLAAD that are pushing this kind of stuff into society, trying to normalize it. So you're funding for an immoral, reprehensible society where PPPs, fraudsters, and criminals are able to run amok and get away with it while normal people just have to sit back and take it. That's the kind of society that Democrats and people who are on the left want to perpetuate and make normal. That's the kind of society they want to have and create. Inclusion doesn't mean including gays and people of color. No, it's increased to including predators, perverts, fetishists, PDF files, fraudsters, everything. That's the kind of society we will have if we allow this stuff to continue, if we don't change laws. And the transsexuals who don't speak up, who are already getting lumped in with this group of freaks, your identity, even your sexuality, it'll be on the chopping block. There will come a time, because the Democrats aren't helping themselves. I don't believe at all that they'll be reelected in 2028. Not at all, because you're radicalizing more and more people with stuff like this and allowing it to go on and protecting the PPPs. They're not going to.
I think we can all agree that this is every father's worst nightmare.
Let me go in there.
No.
Make sure nobody in here. Hello. See, there go man. There goes.
Check his hard drive. He was waiting.
You know, this is the women's bathroom, right? Oh, yeah. That's the women's bathroom. A man in the women's bathroom. That's why you got to go in here with your kids. Let me make sure nobody else ain't in here. Let me make sure. So you gotta go in there with your kids. Make sure no man in the damn bathroom.
You can't be too careful these days. These sickos are multiplying. It's not a good thing. And there's people that advocate and vote for this stuff. Experience the same thing. I haven't got kids, but the thought of this happening, it just sends shivers down my spine, man. It's just crazy how this even happens in the first place. This is one of the great reasons why fathers are needed. Father catches man allegedly peeping on his daughters in women's bathroom. Oh no.
Baby.
That's it. Damn. He's getting a certified woman right there.
That's my church.
Just some context. The girls came out and told their dad that there was someone in the next cubicle who was trying to peep on them and saying inappropriate things to them. That's what led to this. And surprisingly, there's a lot of white knights in the comments saying what this man did is wrong. That guy didn't do anything wrong. Why are we approving this behavior? He was in the woman's bathroom. That's enough evidence for me right there that those girls were telling the truth. All those people in the comments, I feel sorry for their daughters that have a spineless, wet wipe, dork, beta father.
Now, transgender woman's milk is just as good for babies as breast milk. That's according to a letter from the medical director at University Hospital Sussex NHS Foundation Trust. The claim was made as part of a response against campaign groups. The trust referred to studies and the World Health Organization guidance, including one case which found what it called no observable effects in babies fed by induced lactation.
Nah. Man, that could be enough YouTube for me today, guys. Wow. Send the asteroid, man.
What? Yeah, I had to leave that in there because that shit was just too crazy.
Get out of the women's locker room. Suddenly you had angry, mentally ill activists on TikTok, which is another big catalyst, by the way, for the backlash against trans people. All these trans activists and insane people being swooped up by this movement, putting their phones up and talking, really reveals how much insanity was going on.
I dare you to try and stop me from going into a women's bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make. I dare you to try and stop a transgender woman in my presence from using the bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make.
I had a neighbor confront me for using the women's restroom. I lived here for 4.5 years. Everyone should know that I'm a trans woman. I'm like, is there a problem? She's like, yeah, you're using the women's restroom. You're a man. And I said, I'm a trans woman. And she's like, no, you're a man. And honestly, I just lost it. And just started screaming and swearing. I just couldn't handle it.
We have women's sports.
Dude, if my kid, if that happened to my child anywhere, school, a restaurant, anywhere, I'd lose it. I would lose it. I would end up in prison. I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't be able to control myself. Like, I would be beyond mad. And I have seen so many children harmed. I don't know if I put it in the clip earlier, but there was a young girl who was harmed in a Denny's. She was 12. One boy at a school kept harming girls in the bathroom, and they sent him to another school and didn't warn anybody about it, so it happened there again. And then most recently it came out that this was happening in locker rooms at schools too. So it's just been very, very crazy to see. And something that a lot of people are ignoring for the pretty picture that they're trying to paint into reality. And we can't live in a pretty picture, you guys. This is real life. We have to acknowledge that men can't be in women's bathrooms. It gives too many people an excuse to put on a wig and call themselves a woman. It's not about real trans here. It's about a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Now we have bathrooms. Every area of life was being affected. And this is what people don't understand on the liberal side still. That you cannot erode all of society for this tiny fraction of people that, first of all, never even asked for your help. Because I'm of the opinion, maybe it's a bit controversial, that things were actually much better for trans people when nobody knew what the fuck they were. When people didn't really know the topic and there was never really any issues. I'm not saying that people have to hide in the shadows or be hermits if they're trans, but clearly reaching for the fire alarm every day didn't do them any favors either. So where do we go from here? People are probably not going to want to hear this, but I personally feel like the community deserves the cultural backlash happening. The community and its activists were acting as cultural poisons for at least a decade, and a healthy society is going to push back. It just is what it is.
Trans men use the men's room. This isn't that situation. And you keep saying, well, if the laws, yeah, that's right. If the laws do pass, that's the whole point of passing. Can we get back to what it means to be trans? It's you people who literally took over the word trans and made it into something that doesn't even really relate to what trans is, have destroyed what trans is. So start taking responsibility for that. And that's why these things are happening, because men with beards and mustaches are saying they're women and going in the women's room. Yes, it is happening. So stop saying it's not. This is the last thing I want to show you, because this is very important. This is a Korean spa in Washington that's been going through a lawsuit because a trans woman wanted to use the women's only space. Okay.
It's our traditional Korean spa. They are Christian, and their clientele are all women, always have been. And part of the process in coming to the spa is nudity. It's not optional nudity. It's not you have a towel around you nudity. It is a bona fide requirement. And our clients believe in modesty. They do not believe as between the sexes that women and men should be naked amongst each other. Haven Wilvich had gender reassignment surgery less than 2 months after filing this complaint to the Human Rights Commission that entry had been denied. Haven said that the owner of the spa said thus and such to them. And that's not true. We went back to the Human Rights Commission and said, look, this person never came into the spa. They never talked with the owner. None of this ever happened. And instead of the Human Rights Commission investigating further, and that's what they're to do, is investigate complaints, specific complaints. They said, and I quote, the time for you to ensure that Haven Wilvich does not feel discriminated against has passed.
So before, obviously we're a little bit into this, but this is Buck Angel and Blair White. If you weren't sure who that was before, that's Blair White, and they are both trans, okay? So that's why I like to add them to my videos, just to get their perspective. They are actually trans, and they have lived experience of dysphoria, and they know it's dysphoria, and they don't really believe they are the opposite gender now, even though they have gotten surgery to present themselves as they want in the reality.
You must change your website language from biological women to women. This is just a license for individuals who are mentally ill and then take advantage of a situation where women are vulnerable. it also boils down to an essential taking by the government of these people's business.
That's
this activist now claims he is a she, has the surgery. Is that not enough?
I know. I mean, that person could come in now because no one would know the difference. You know, if you present in the nude as a female, you're allowed entry. And that has always been their position. You know, they don't know what has gone on and they're not going to pry into people's, surgery histories. If you present in the nude as a female, you are allowed entry to this spa.
Bam.
That should be sufficient.
There you go. Are you seeing this? The spa is perfectly okay with a trans woman who has had the surgery, okay, and has female anatomy, a vagina, and doesn't make the other women uncomfortable. But this person, from what I just understood, actually, was that they didn't even go in the spa. They tried to show up looking like a dude saying they're a trans woman and they want to enter the woman-only space. And they're like, no, dude, you can't come in here. And then sued like the spa and then totally wrecking somebody's business. You know, this is what I keep saying. It's so frustrating to me. Why are you doing that as trans people? You are not helping the situation. Okay. You could actually go in that spa if you actually presented as a woman. Okay. This is the bull crap that's happening. Okay. Right there. So I needed to show you that because it's not true. They're not discriminating against trans women. They're discriminating against a penis around a bunch of vaginas, and women aren't comfortable with that. Get a grip, people. And let's be real.
That's why I really appreciate him. He is so real and he brings the facts. He brings people on who have gone through this experience and are now going back. I forgot what it's called. Either way, yeah, he does that. He interviews so many people. It's insane to see how many people regret transitioning. It became a fad. It became a fad in 2020. Kids were bored. I feel like that's what it came down to. Kids were bored. And people made them confuse identity with personality. And I don't know. It's dumb to think that your personality has anything to do with your gender. I don't know. Of course, there's like a stereotype, right? But it doesn't mean you have to abide by it. Like tomboys used to be a thing. I don't know.
So,
hi, kids. Hey, kids.
This was another big thing for me too. Once I saw what was happening in schools, my cousin's school got a notice saying, we do not have to tell you if your child wants to transition, and your child has the right to like come to us instead of you. And I was like, what the heck? That's insane. And I started looking more into it. And it's crazy what's happening. So from the television to the schoolyards, it's in their lives. So it is influencing them before they understand what it is. And it's really, really unfair to put this on children who do not understand.
She's the world's youngest transsexual.
A child born in the wrong body.
I want to talk to the kids.
They mess with the kids. And how you do that, expecting to retain anybody's respect, is nuts. I need anybody confused as to how this all happened, that society has turned on trans people, to understand that any movement that even optically places itself as a threat to women or children is destined to fail, is destined to die, and honestly deserves to. It used to be 1 or 2 instances of underage trans people in small liberal countries halfway across the planet.
Kim Petras, who is probably the youngest person in the world to have a sex change. But how easy was it to make that life-changing decision at such a young age?
And then all of a sudden, you had sex changes for minors in all 50 states. And I cannot stress enough that this is not how the issue was handled, even at the start of my transition as early as 2015.
So I really, really, really wanted to add the trans children's and the trans regret to this. But the truth is, if I did, it would become like a 2 to 3 hour video. And I will be reacting to a video made by Buck Angel where he talks about what's happening right now and how many people are detransitioning, the transition surgeries that happened that never should have. And we will talk more about the conclusions that the doctors have come to now, because we witnessed a woman who went on stage and couldn't even define what a woman is, but she wants to be an administrator for this gender ideology. And yeah, it's terrifying. So we will look more into the mutilation of children in another video.
Parents of trans species kids, what are we doing about Donald Trump getting rid of the trans species child tax credit?
Excuse me, getting rid of the what?
Because for the past 4 years since Biden got in office, I've been receiving $12,000 a year because...
Repeat that slowly. You've been receiving what?
my son identifies as a cat, and that's counted as a disability.
I don't think I can even reply to what you just said. Not get a community violation.
So they sent me $1,000 a month to help with raising him and his transition and all that.
Excuse my ignorance. His transition to a cat?
But Donald Trump's getting rid of that. So what are we going to do? Because I've been using that to pay for my mortgage payment. Well, half of it, because my mortgage payment is $2,000. But what are we going to do? Like, I feel like
Either I'm slow. Yeah, that sky is beautiful today. Or that's some crazy math you just did.
in this bind financially, because my son, since he identifies as a cat, the school doesn't really tolerate his cat-like behaviors.
Yeah, we're going to save the furries and Therians for another video too. So if you don't know what Therians are, and you might know a little bit about furries, subscribe. We will be going into detail about these strange groups that are really just fetishes being disguised as identities. You're not a pony. Wake up.
It was simply not a thing. I feel like most people now completely conflate the concept of trans and transition with kids. That's how much kids has become synonymous with the trans topic. I think there's people that don't even really think about adults transitioning because they don't have an issue with what adults do with their bodies. That's most people. And just how society was forced to universally get behind insane pronoun usage.
Pronouns we can make a titty bit of time for. Enjoy.
I am who I say I am, and you are who you say you are, and sometimes we are wrong about who we think other people are. That's okay. Don't assume. You can always just ask, which pronouns do you use? He, him, she, her, they, them, these, let me know, which one do you prefer?
This person is a teacher.
And good news, folks, some new pronouns have just dropped.
My pronouns. So, of course, we have he, him, his, himself, and they, them, theirs, themselves. And then we also have void, void self, ender, enders, and ender self, death, self, pixel, pixel self, vials, self.
Pixels, that's a cute one. I'm a pixel.
Today's pronoun of the day is slugs. Why would someone want to use slugs pronouns? Well, maybe this person feels like discovering this person's gender is very slow and maybe won't ever discover it, and that can happen. But maybe also they like slugs, and that's okay. That's awesome. Maybe there's some kind of beauty to it, just like what I had described with feeling like discovering a gender is very slow, and that's awesome. That's beautiful. Using neopronouns is a beautiful thing, honestly, when you feel like you can't relate to gender. And these are most typically used by neurodivergent individuals who do have a hard time relating to gender. So is that this person's fault? No. Is this gonna harm you? No. Does this make them a slug? No. So I really hope that you can just try to show some respect and love towards another human being.
Paramount's Landman obliterates the pronoun argument after a show introduced a non-binary character. Oh boy.
Are you
your roommate?
Are you on the cheerleading team?
Do I look like a fucking cheerleader? I'm pagan.
I'm Ainsley. Pagan.
Pagan.
Like the godless religion.
It's actually Latin. Means country dweller.
Are you from the country?
I am from Minneapolis.
I could have predicted that.
Is pagan Viking?
Still Latin, like I said 7 seconds ago. It's a ferret.
That's a long boy.
It's a ferret.
From the weasel family. Just getting used to your smell.
Uh-huh.
Should be opposed to a room freshener?
A toxic airborne petrochemical that I breathe into my lungs.
Man.
So what are your pronouns?
My pronouns? I hope that's pretty clear.
Yeah, I don't make assumptions. I use they, them.
You know, I've always been curious why they, them. Because there's just one of you, and those are plural pronouns. Never really understood the hoopla of pronouns. My name's Ainsley, and I just can't really come up with a reason why you would address me in third person in a conversation that I'm a part of. So if you do, I'm probably not there. So I wouldn't really know what pronouns you're using anyways.
Yeah.
So why would it matter?
You smell like the beach.
I think it's because I use coconut oil as a moisturizer. Of all the oils, it penetrates the deepest.
Would appreciate if you didn't use that word.
Coconut?
Penetrate. Triggering. It insinuates the patriarchal power of the phallus. Yes.
Do you eat meat? Are we still talking about penises?
I'm vegan. I would prefer you don't eat meat in this room. I don't like music.
Well, I'm not a musician.
I mean, I don't like it played in the room. This is my safe space. I need my environment crafted to support my mental health.
I think the more attention you give your mental health, the better. Pagan.
Pagan.
That's what I said.
No.
The thing is that most of the people that I know that turned into people like this, I remember them from high school. Nobody liked them. Nobody wanted to be around them. They didn't have any friends. Man, yeah, you probably got to go somewhere else.
I'm gonna let you, they meditate.
Man. Yep. Yeah. Nobody wants to be, they're emotionally draining. Well, I think that what's very interesting about it, how like just obviously selfish these people are too, about how like, okay, you have this nasty, smelly ferret in the room, but the other person can't use air freshener to make the room not smell like your nasty, smelly ferret. Like they're so inclusive. And like, really, it's just selfishness. That's what it is. Crazy, unbearable people. Yeah, they're so fucking obnoxious, man.
One more thing before we get into the rest of this video, and that's pride. Okay, pride. What is going on at these parades? Why do weird white liberal people think pride parades are for kids? And why are the gays conforming to it? This is why so many gays are not going to Pride and they're starting their own event. I forgot what it was called. I'll add it right here really quick. But yeah, a lot of gays want to separate from the LGBTQIA plus community. It's just too much. It's too much. They want to include maps. Do you know what a map is? It's disgusting. It's disgusting. The things they want to add to the inclusivity flag is mind-boggling. Okay, let's go watch this clip. Amir Odom is going to break down how terrifying Pride has become. How terrifying Pride has become, okay? And I've gone like once or twice, but in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where it's very conservative, which I think I mentioned later. But oh my gosh, like what is happening? And why is nudity legal in California and Oregon? That's so gross. That's so disgusting. What's wrong with your states?
This has gotten completely out of control. Why is there a growing segment of gay people who just do not like pride parades? It's because of all of the footage that we're going to go through in this video, because honestly, it speaks for itself on how deranged and decrepit it has become. And let it be known, as a black and queer individual, the LGBTQ community does not speak on my behalf or yours. In this video, we're going to dive deep into why some gay people do not like pride parades, as well as react to a bunch of clips that we've collected from across the country. And if you like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe. It helps the channel grow a ton. I'm so appreciative to have you here because there's lots more content like this coming, as well as an entire LGBTQ playlist of content that I made in the past. A growing theme that was even we dedicated a whole video to talk about it because so many people talk about how this isn't that common, this isn't a thing that's happening. It is, and they're literally chanting it. We're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your children. This is why I don't even like going to pride parades. I don't like seeing the children there, and I don't like this growing segment of the gays that are also just hyper focused on children. I don't want to be in that crowd. I don't want to be associated with that crowd, and just because of what I do behind a closed door, does that mean I have to assimilate and be with that? And
Your children will love us, and your children will join us.
it's unfortunate because I do think that this person is facing a lot of mental health issues. I don't get it.
What has been your favorite part of this event so far?
I loved going out there and seeing all the kids just living and being there with their parents of all shapes and sizes, and just seeing them having so much fun and giving them fans and throwing candy and everything like that.
Oh, fire department, that is too hot. My goodness.
God, someone call 911.
Oh, dear. Oh,
boy.
wait a minute.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, shut up.
I can't even show this is all going to be blurred.
Oh my goodness.
And that's another thing. I'm having to blur this for YouTube because YouTube is trying to protect children from seeing these things, and it doesn't want advertisers on these things, yet advertisers are in public doing this. And people like this anchor, whoever this man is saying he's so happy kids are witnessing and seeing. We just heard him say that, and now we're saying, well, you're not seeing this. If you want to see it, you can see it unfiltered on my Patreon for $1 a month. But we're seeing a bunch of half-naked men dancing and flailing and G-strings and all of that. This is what you're happy for kids to be seeing? This is what you're wanting? This is what's representing what gay is to you? I don't want any part of it. It says the live stream was intentionally frozen after a penis apparently became visible. Believable.
Oh, there it is. There it is. He made it on you. You know what? What can he do? Everybody's stop. But he caught it.
It's Mickey. You know, if you've ever passed by there, it's always going to show a little.
But you were just saying your happy kids are here seeing this, and now there's men flailing around their body parts on stage in this parade.
Thunder. So, you know, just a little bit. So it's just something you got to get used to.
Exception to that, all right?
Yep.
Have fun, celebrate, shake some ass, but keep it cute, keep it classy, and most importantly, keep it in your pants until the circuit party or after parties afterwards. Stop targeting children. I don't understand the obsession that some of you have with directly addressing children. Every opportunity you get, I understand it's important for a child to feel loved, welcome, accepted, but when kids are your main focal point and always seem to be your targeted audience, it gets predatory.
What's going on? We've got kids at pride parades performing drag and transitioning. We've got trans adults dominating sports, drag queens and Blue's Clues, and an endless amount of pronouns. Something needs to be said. Here are my concerns. regarding the LGBTQ community is Pride Month.
Not just about gay, it's about sexual gay. Everyone on the floats, if you've been watching, they've been all sexual and shimmying and everything and naked sailors and whatnot. So I think it's more about this sexualized culture, and it's almost kind of sexualizing young children. That's my take on it. I think it's a little too much. And why not celebrate gay without celebrating sexuality? There's people with their butt cheeks hanging out. I think it's a little inappropriate to bring your kids here, but they're all about it.
I don't think we need an entire month to celebrate who we have sex with. And if anything, this Pride Month has turned into a huge marketing month. Because if these companies really stood for what they're saying and they really felt like gay lives matter and they felt the pride, maybe they would represent it in the countries where it matters most, the countries where gay people are killed. Maybe that'd be a thing. But no, in America, everything's rainbow. In the Middle East, everything's black and white. Why is that? Why aren't you making changes and initiatives in the countries that matter most? Why are you just using gay people for clout of children?
Happy Pride, everybody! Who here knows what gay pride means?
It means where like all the gay people, transgender, lesbian, bisexual people gather up and celebrate.
That's absolutely right. It's a celebration of sexual diversity. I mean, everybody should aspire to grow up and be a gay icon.
And that's what Pride Day is all about.
You're right. See you at Pride, everybody.
Why can't we just leave the kids out of this? They are too young to be thinking about anything sex. And I mean this for both straight and gays. I mean this across the board. Why are kids at Hooters? Why are kids at pride parades? Why are there child pageant shows? Why are we dolling up 2-year-olds in a full glam makeup and bikini? All of it's weird. When it comes to sexuality, leave these kids alone. This extends to even kids shows.
Trans members of this family all love each other so proudly, and they all go marching in the big parade.
All of this LGBTQ marketing towards children just needs to stop. What are you doing on Blue's Clues? Why is there dolphins with cut marks as if the dolphins transitioned? Why are there pansexual beavers? Like what? I can't even believe I'm even talking about this. How is this real life? How is the thing that exists? How is the thing that we're watching that someone actually sat down and created? How and why? For children. Leave sex out of it. Full stop, period. Done. I gotta keep saying it. Leave them out of it. My next concern, why are drag queens so hell-bent on performing in front of children? I'm dumbfounded at the link that people try to make between a drag queen and a kid. Why do drag queens feel the need to read to children? Why are you teaching them how to twerk?
You crouch down into this sort of position here, so your thumb's sticking out. Hope you're taking this all in. And then you just move your thumb up and down like that. And that's twerking.
Why are you having children perform? Genuine question, why? I do not get it. I do not condone it. I think it just all needs to be gone. And again, leave the children alone. See, gay relations in America, I feel like was pretty much fine. It was dead, not really much happening. Then the kids came in the picture. And that's when everything started changing, going to an uproar, rightfully so. I don't understand why the drag queens feel the need to be around children. This idea that it should be accepted for drag queens to frolic and dance and read in front of toddlers. I don't know why it needs to exist. I don't know why it's ever became a thing, but it shouldn't exist.
Suddenly, everyone had to be okay with sex changes for minors, with hormone therapy, with castration, chemical and otherwise, on underage people, as if it was something that even had any long-term studies as to being something positive for the kids. People had to suddenly suspend their basic human knowledge that you shouldn't sterilize a child while they're a child and just be on board with it. Otherwise, you were treated as the same kind of pariah that would be pro-segregation in the South in the 60s. It's just the hysterics that made everybody who had any issues or even questions on this topic out to be the most bigoted people on the planet. And again, people just got sick of it. That again, I've been ringing the alarm about since the very start of my channel. Suddenly there was all this propaganda around it. Suddenly you were seeing trans cartoons, trans kids characters.
T stands for trans or transgender.
Ooh, that's a cool new word.
Definitely, Teddy.
These papas are non-binary, they love each other so proudly. Trans members of this family all love each other so proudly.
An entire attempt at normalizing this, not among just adults, but children. Again, something completely new. Even as waves of detransitioners were going on the internet, telling their stories about how they felt like their lives were ruined or their bodies were destroyed from these procedures as minors, it didn't matter how many people came forward talking about that. There was a complete suppression of that. There was a complete suppression of anybody who wanted to amplify those stories. And then it got to the point where it wasn't just the kids on the operating table that were being messed with. It was every kid in every public school in every state. Queer theory, gender ideology was something being taught in all of these schools.
As a queer teacher, but also for my students, many of whom are queer or LGBT, identify as LGBT.
I teach high school, and most days of the week I come to school in stilettos. And the reason why is so I can create an explicitly queer space for all of my students.
This really upset parents, and it upset everyone, even that weren't parents, but understood that this was something strange. This was something wrong. This was clearly indoctrination. It wasn't just teaching tolerance and acceptance. When you're asking every student what their pronouns are, when you're introducing every student to all of the 1,000 genders you've invented, to all of the 1,000 pronouns and ways to identify, and you're making it fun and colorful and like it's a little quiz, you are trying to actively make kids gay or trans. Not to mention the flooding of explicit books being put in public schools, some of them depicting sex acts or talking about gay sex acts that are in the libraries for all students to pick up and read. A book called This Book is Gay. What an amazing cover. You ban it and has the word gay in it. In my caveman brain, that means you do not like gay people, right? Because you're a simpleton. The reality is the book has a glossary that teaches kids about kinks, such as on someone, eating matter. I wasn't even ready to say that out loud, and kids are ready to read that. Like I was not even prepared to read that out loud. And how to use Grindr, an app that is 18 and over, by the way. So why someone in middle school would need to know how to use Grindr? I mean, wow. Genderqueer, next book. Another popular one that's being banned across the country. Literally shows artwork of gay oral, as well as full intercourse, how to wear binders. I like how full intercourse is like the most tame thing that I've read so far out of all the things. It's like, wow. Adult toys. Keyword adults. You got a book in kids' libraries talking about adult toys. The next book, Let's Talk About It, is the name. Artwork of full gay male intercourse, and then sometimes even being actively taught by the teachers in the school. And then as with all these other topics, it was completely denied by leftists. Everyone said it wasn't happening. Ron DeSantis was the first one to try to stamp it out and actually try to ban these explicit books from schools. And then of course, the hysterics. They tried to turn it into him and people who supported getting rid of explicit books in children's libraries into some sort of like archaic medieval book burners. Like this is not the Library of Alexandria, bitch. It's public schools, and parents have a right to not want their kids subjected to sometimes pornographic imagery in the books.
That's right. All these women have been harmed in prisons, in gyms, in bathrooms. Little girls dragged in restaurant bathrooms to be harmed by men in skirts. It's not okay. It's not okay. And it's not going to fly anymore. It's sad because I've actually been a huge supporter of the LGBT community since I was very young. I have a lot of gay people in my family. I have a lot of lesbians in my family. I truly believed it was genetic because of how many people are gay in my family. Like, it must be genetic. Half my family is gay, right? But things are getting out of hand. This is me in 2010. Let's go look at Heaven 2010. Circa 2010, I love my gay moms. That's right. I was raised by lesbians. 2 lesbians from the age of 14 to like 22, 23. 14 to 23, my mom was in a lesbianic relationship. I had 2 mamas. I love both my mamas still to this day, okay? My mamas are the best. They raised me well. Honestly, without mother number 2, I don't know where I'd be. Without mother number 2, I'd be a different person completely. And it breaks my heart when I hear Republicans say that gay people can't raise kids, because it's not true. It's not true. Groomers shouldn't raise kids. And there's plenty of straight people who are groomers too. Groomers should not raise kids. It's okay when gay people raise kids. It's okay when lesbians raise kids. Groomers should not raise kids.
Yeah, I still agree with that. I still completely agree with that. I think that gays should be allowed to raise kids, adopt kids. We just need to start handling get the off the street, and it won't be a problem if they're gay or straight, right? We won't have to worry. We know the are not on the streets. So, in my opinion, yeah, it's groomers. It's not gays. It's the groomers. And there's groomers in both sides. So, yeah.
People with no moral compass shouldn't raise kids. If you're gay, it doesn't mean you don't have a moral compass. It just means you're attracted to the same sex. And that's okay. That's okay. As long as you can be healthy and live an honest life in the light of God, who cares? Who cares? But yeah, no, I've never had a problem with the LGBT community. I honestly, before queer was even a thing, I used to say the word all the time and say like, I'm queer. I'm a weird. I'm a queer one. I didn't know it was going to be turned into a...
I hate that I admitted that, but it's true.
Real thing. I obviously was saying it as a joke as a child, not as a, I'm a queer. No, I was being funny. I was being a nerd. I was being an idiot. Okay, I like to say stupid shit.
Yeah, I was being an asshole. Like, I was, like, being like, oh, I'm queer. Because I was weird. Like, I was super weird, and everyone would, like, hated me. And I would just be that weird reject. And I didn't want anybody's, I didn't care about approval. I just wanted to be me. I wanted to be comfortable, and that's what I cared about. So, yeah, I would say I was queer. It's way different from what queer is today. What even is queer today? Queer is just like autistic, right? Pretty much, like, now queer is just, I have autism. I got the autism. Okay, let's go.
So I call myself queer. They straight up claim it now, but whatever. LGBTQIA++++. I like the fridge magnet community. It's a better title, the fridge magnet community. It's a good title because you can just add whatever letters you want. Y'all like to add whatever letters you want whenever. Go ahead, little fridge magnets. Sorry, I'm done ranting. Okay, let's go on. We are also going to talk about trans athletes and why this is important. And you guys got to see one of the moms from earlier in the Trump speech. He was he had also invited that night the girl from this video, okay, that we're about to watch, who was pummeled by a volleyball. Pummeled. This is why trans athletes should not be in women's sports. We are going to go take a look with Amir Odom right now at why Trump made the executive order he did when it comes to athletes, okay, and why it's important to keep girls and women safe when they're playing sports.
Transgender athletes in women's sports is something we've all heard about. What was once a joke is now becoming a reality, and it's time we have an honest conversation about it. You are not transphobic for asking genuine questions about this topic. None of us are. There's all this talk about being inclusive, but there does come a point where being inclusive starts to exclude. We're witnessing biological men expose themselves in women's bathrooms, including in high school. We're witnessing biological men transition into women and completely crushing women's records. We're witnessing 8-year-old biological boys transitioning and playing sports with little girls. And quite frankly, there's a lot of people who disagree with all of this. And let me be clear, disagreeing is not equal to being hateful or discriminatory. What one person finds to be discriminating towards trans people is what another person finds discriminating towards biological women.
Leah Thomas, a transgender athlete. Her presence has been a big source of controversy. We've seen split support.
What has it been like to be Leah Thomas?
It's been a very, very interesting experience at times. There's been a lot of noise, but it's been incredibly rewarding and meaningful to be able to be authentic and to be myself and be out and proud as a trans woman.
Leah Thomas pulling away over the final 150 meters. Thomas wins the NCAA championship.
How does it make you feel when you think about the fact that you're the first transgender person to ever win an NCAA Division I championship?
I'm very humbled and honored to hold that title. And I can only hope that I'm able to give other trans people the inspiration and motivation I was given.
What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about you specifically?
The biggest misconception, I think, is the reason why I transitioned, where people will say, oh, she just transitioned, so she would have an advantage, so she could win. I transitioned to be happy, to be true to myself. It was a very difficult time. I was just stuck in this depression, and I struggled with suicidal thoughts. Being trans is not a choice. I didn't have any other choice.
And this is something that they're also telling children and parents now when they're going to these consultations about having gender dysphoria or being confused about themselves. The doctors are basically just saying, hey, either you transition your kid or they're just going to die. That's literally most of these doctors are out here just telling all these parents and little kids that you have to transition a kid or they're just going to pass away. And that's such a shady thing for a doctor to do, and it's so unfortunate because it's not the truth for all people. So now we're going to take a...
Yeah, they tell them that the child's going to off themselves pretty much if they don't let them transition, even at the age of 12. So it's pretty nuts. It's disgusting what's happened. And yeah, maybe it's not every doctor, but it shouldn't matter. One child should be enough for us to say, stop, what is happening here? Let's fix this.
Look at one of her swimming competitions.
This shit's crazy.
Crazy. 40 seconds. I got lit from that music. I'm about to keep that in here. There's clear, that is astonishing. Major props to Leah. That is an incredible feat. Very talented swimmer. I couldn't swim like that. That's for sure. I'm not claiming I can. She's talented. She's amazing. That's great. However, is it fair? Looking at the optics, looking at these clips, looking at Leah and hearing her experience, is it fair? When looking at the numbers, what you'll find is that the 2018 and 2019 season for the male swim team, formerly known as Will Thomas, placed 554th in the 200 freestyle, 65th in the 500 freestyle, and 32nd in the 1650 freestyle. In the 2021 to 2022 season, now known as Leah Thomas, her ranks are 5th in the 200 freestyle, 1st in the 500 freestyle, and 8th in the 1650 freestyle. Leah has done so well that they have now been nominated for Women of the Year.
Well, the transgender woman and competitive swimmer Leah Thomas has been nominated for the National Collegiate Athletic Association Woman of the Year Award.
Like, that's amazing. But when looking at the graph, is there...
Time out. We need to go look at the Women of the Year from 2025 too. You guys got to see that. That is crazy.
J.K. Rowling, Brendan Gaines, that girl Tish from the Gold's Gym video we did this week. There's a lot of different answers, but if you're Glamour UK, apparently you're thinking trans women, aka biological men, or you're thinking that one Hollywood actress that told all Trump voters that they should never know peace. Weird. Great Women of the Year. Let's talk about it. They released this cover, Glamour UK, The Dolls, Women of the Year. And you'll see, as we say things like Women of the Year, we are having graced the cover men. How many men? 1, 2, 3, 4, like 9 grown men. I mean, what else can you say?
Much to say about what is happening and what is going on regarding transgender athletes in sports.
So.
The Jamaicans get out well. It's Sharika Jackson. Showing Fraser Price. So here comes Sha'Carri Richardson. Sha'Carri's done it. Sha'Carri Richardson has won the world title. She had to come from behind in the semi, but when it counted, she has done it.
World title, ran a 10.65, crushed the competition. Incredible feat for...
None of these should count. None of these should count.
We believe that is the right thing to do. Now, let's show you a couple of receipts here that you can look up yourself if you're interested. This is a website called He Cheated. They track when boys are playing in girls' sports and they actually win an award. So clearly a boy is beating a girl or they are breaking records. And they actually categorize it by sport. So you could look at it based on the sport you may be interested in. Now, if we just use the simple example of track and field, and it says it right here, the stats are up here, 75 male athletes, 1,129 plus unfair victories, 1,753 plus top 3 finishes. So when they say, oh, well, you know, this doesn't really matter. No, these are official competitions where these numbers are showing up. And if you actually scroll down here, it'll give you the names of these individuals and the date that it occurred and where it occurred.
Biological women. But now we're going to look at that same competition, that same race, 100 meter run for men. Same competition earlier this year, just with the men. Let's take a look at this.
Men's 100 final underway. Coleman gets it. Fantastic stuff. The Lions are going to have to find something special. Let's see the wow, the Lions are right to the line.
Everyone is in the 9.8s, 9.84, 9.86, 9.87. Everyone's in the 9.8s. The slowest man there would have beat the women's record. The slowest man in this race is faster than Sha'Carri Richardson. And not even just this race, but if you look at the top 100 fastest men, they're all faster than all the fastest women. They're oh my, I'm losing my mental. I'm trying to keep a cool, calm, and collected, but this is just driving me up a wall because it's frustrating just seeing women getting dominated, biological women getting dominated like this. Completely disrespected. Like, women do not stand a chance against some of these men, and that's not misogynistic, that's not hateful, that's not bigoted, that's just the facts. Men and women are different. That's not to say that women are less. There are tons of things that women can do that men can't, and vice versa. It's okay.
Okay, I added this to break down the reality of the difference in men and women, okay? He breaks it down awesome. And he makes it very clear he's gay, so he's not biased. Let's go listen.
Starting from the very beginning, a fetus with XY chromosomes, which is for male, will produce and be exposed to higher levels of testosterone from the jump. Now, when a baby is delivered and born, they're either male, female, or intersex, which is a different conversation. Interestingly, studies show that before puberty, naturally, boys and girls have very similar athletic abilities. There's not a huge difference. This is most likely why it's common to see co-ed sport leagues for young kids, like a soccer league, for example, boys and girls playing together. But all of this changes when males gain a large biological advantage in terms of athletic abilities during puberty. Males experience a massive increase in a hormone called testosterone.
During male puberty, testosterone drives the development of bigger muscles with more fast-twitching fibers.
During puberty, males have a 20-fold increase in testosterone levels. This is on average 15 times higher than testosterone levels in females. Now, testosterone creates many changes in the male adolescent body, many athletic advantages throughout the entire body. Things regulated include bone mass, fat distribution, muscle masses, and red blood cell concentrations, which carry oxygen throughout the body. Attributes like larger skeletal structures, larger muscles, increased cardiovascular and respiratory functions, as well as higher power to weight ratios, gives cisgender males more natural athletic abilities. And these differences in cisgender women and cisgender men create differences in both non-elite calibers as well as elite sporting competitions. There are natural differences between each sex. This table shows the magnitude of physiological differences between untrained or moderately trained males, with females as the reference value. So on average, males have 45% more lean body mass, 33% more lower muscle mass, and 40% more upper body muscle mass. Men naturally have more muscle strength, longer bone lengths, like in your arms and legs, 83% more force in their tendons, and as we briefly mentioned earlier, increased respiratory and lung functions, as well as enhanced cardiac functions. So whether you're an Olympic track star or you're someone who's learning basketball for the first time, once puberty comes, males generally innately have a natural biological advantage. Males just naturally have an athletic advantage based on their development. And this is really why by the time of middle school, like 11 years old, typically we see sports go off into separate genders, as I said. That is simply the cold hard truth, so that they're equal playing grounds for people in their respective sport. A fascinating study that just came out at the time of making this video looked at the differences and advantages that males have to females in specific sports. And what I think is interesting is that some sports, males had naturally more of an advantage than others. For example, males have a much higher baseline advantage in activities like weightlifting, pitching a baseball, or performing a field hockey drag lick. And even think about it. Softball, which is primarily played by females, they throw the underhand ball, whereas in baseball, men throw it overhand. On the other hand, according to the study, men are still biologically advantaged in sports like rowing, swimming, and track running, although the difference isn't as drastic. Still though, 10 to 13% still makes a notable difference. When looking at elite male athletes versus elite female athletes, adolescent schoolboys outperformed elite female adult athletes. So kids who are just going through puberty, boys specifically, can outperform grown women. Physical and biological changes happen when a cisgender male transitions to a transgender female. This male to female transition entails going on something called testosterone suppression. So studies look at how athletic performance is altered after at least 12 months that a trans woman has gone through testosterone suppression, because that's typically the minimum cutoff for trans women to compete back in competitive sports with cisgender females. Studies show that after a year of testosterone suppression when transitioning, there is a degree of physical advantages that do slightly decrease. An example is after a year, transgender women will typically have less of a thigh muscle mass. There are subtle differences and advantages that are lost when you transition, but there are also many biophysical aspects to someone who's gone through puberty that do not change when you transition from male to female. If a transgender female doesn't go through testosterone suppression before puberty, then they're going to have a lot of experiences that a cisgender female will have not gone through. So you're going to have larger bones on average. You're going to have more muscle mass. It does go down a little bit with testosterone suppression, but in general, the baseline is still higher.
You're not going to be able to get rid of the male puberty that they've gone through, the fact that they have male biology. So even by reducing testosterone for 1 year, it's still not going to level the playing field.
Height, stride, grip strength. Studies show that grip strength is 25% higher even after you transition. So there's still subtle differences. And the study from 2020 basically says that there are slight reductions in muscle mass, size, and muscle strength after transitioning from male to female. They go down a little bit, as I said, but that slight loss doesn't erase the natural differences between a cisgender male that went through puberty and a cisgender female that went through puberty.
Part of men and women being different is why we love women's sports so much, because now that they have their own lane, they can be celebrated for their achievements in their own lane. But once you throw biological men in there, it changes everything. All it would take, literally all it would take, is for any of those top 100 men to just say, you know what, I'm living my truth. I'm a woman now. Boom. All the records are gone. All of them are gone. Like I mentioned before, we're striving so hard to be inclusive that we're starting to be exclusive. At the rate that we're going, it's going to be men's sports and then trans women in women's sports just dominating everything. Because isn't it funny how we always are just hyper fixated on trans women in sports, the male to female athletes? No one's ever talking about female to male. Why? Why? Same can't be said for female to male. Why? Why is that? And what's crazy is that the people I see rooting behind all this behavior is liberal women. Don't be a bigot. Don't be transphobic. Don't be hateful. Stand with trans women. Protect trans women. What about women? Enough about the trans women. What about women? What about yourself? What about other women? Matter of fact, what is a woman? The same people saying men shouldn't be making laws about women's bodies are the same people saying men can be women and women can be men. Which one is it? Because
what is a woman?
Yeah. What is a woman? What is a woman? It's your mama. That's right. Plain and simple. You that confused? Let me come and watch it. I tell you, it's your mama. It sure ain't your daddy. That's right. Go ahead. President Biden joining in on the conversation. We didn't know what a woman. We didn't know what a woman is. A woman is your mama. That's right. Tell him about Pastor. That man is past 80, isn't he? He's past 80, right? I believe so. You mean to tell me you past 80 and you don't know your mama and your wife? That's right. Is a woman. They keep trying to shove this trash on Africa. That's right. African presidents, one by one, is standing up against it. That's right.
You're saying men can be women and that trans women are women, then hell, what's the point of anything women related? You talk about empowering women. What is a woman? What is this woman that you're empowering? If men can be women and women can be men, then everything's null and void.
The first openly transgender athlete to win an NCAA Division I title.
A transgender fighter. It's hiding the fact that they were biologically male, eating the f*** out of these women.
Do you think it's fair for you to compete in the women's game?
Absolutely.
I want to stay biological male.
Why?
Why not?
Similar to, like I said, that if a movement positions itself even just optically as a threat to children, that it's a wrap, it's doomed, it's going to fail. It's the same as when you mess with women. And the concept of trans women in women's sports was again something that was just not around when I first started. I mean, it's comical, it's clownery when you look at any video of it happening, when you look at these athletes.
There's a large group of people that no matter what I do in a sport will always automatically assume that I have an advantage.
So this question of, do trans women have an advantage over cis women? We don't know.
Trans people don't transition for athletics. We transition to be happy and authentic and our true selves. Transitioning to get an advantage is not something that ever factors into our decisions.
This was probably the easiest thing to debunk as being fair or normal or something that people should accept, right? Just the basic biological differences between males and females. You can just run the list, the long list of reasons, and yet you were forced to accept this. You were forced to accept this all the way from middle schools and high schools that suddenly had trans kids on just the local sports team to universities to actual professional sports. And when I think of the topic of trans women and women's sports and how that really turned society off, go figure, it's hard not to think of Fallon Fox, who literally cracked a woman's skull.
Those and reversals by both fighters.
These girls are getting right into it. Fox.
Another, of course, honorary mention is Leah Thomas, which is definitely going to go. Y'all want to act like Blair White is the reason why anything bad is happening to trans people. Take that up with Leah Thomas's big ass, please. Please. If you have more words for Blair White for voting in a way that you don't like, I'm going to need some words spared for Leah Thomas, who set back trans acceptance easily 10 years, which was the cherry on top of the fact that it was already sliding back. Something that, again, ad nauseum, I was saying in every video.
I do think that if you felt like you were in the wrong body and you were willing to give up your whole life, everything, you know, literally your whole body, you're going to move your whole body around. Why would you need sports? Why would that be necessary at a level with recognition like that, where you're taking an award from an actual woman? I feel like you wouldn't. I just feel like you wouldn't, at least not this far into it. We've seen how it's gone. If you're doing it now, it's clearly for the clout. You want to be on a platform. You want that gold. It has to be, right?
And never taken seriously and crapped on by the entire community. Does it seem like I'm holding a grudge? Because I am. Just a bit, but I'm working on it.
Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. These women deserve to have their own space to do sports, to play, and it shouldn't be at it shouldn't be at the place it is right now. Do you know how many gold medals were taken by actual biological men from women this year? A lot. And aside from that, do you guys know how many? Because they like to say like, oh, it's just one trans. Do you know how many people that one trans are going to beat? Almost 400 women will be thrown out of a competition they could have been in because of one man. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. Start trans sports or stay a man. Do men's sports as a trans. I don't know, but I definitely think they need to stay out of women's spaces. And there is a girl who really, really lied. Like, she made herself look so stupid. Let's go talk about this dumb girl on the Young Turks, okay?
Okay, so this is the point where we transition. I'm going to stop after this clip. I do want you guys to hear how radical some of these liberals are. And she was on the Young Turks, as I said. I forgot her name again, but I'm sure it'll be right here. Let's see. But yeah, this is where we're going to end it. And we will pick up next time.
She said some crazy shit to her boss about these trans issues. And one thing a lot of liberals, okay, I'm going to say liberals because they're not real liberals. These are white liberals. There's a difference. We can explain that in a different video. These white liberals are out here thinking they know shit when they don't. And this is an 80-20. This is an 80-20 situation for a reason. Let's go take a look at what this dumbass said and we can talk more about it. I think I just heard my munchkin, so we might change scenes, but let's go watch.
You look like a bitch.
Well, I see why you got fired.
That's what it is.
That's why you got fired.
That's just what it comes down to. You don't look like a fighter. You don't look smart. You look like a bitch.
A few moments later.
Recently, Francesca Fiorentini asked us at TYT to take her podcast, The Bituation Room, off the network. And we happily agreed to that. And today, I'm going a little further, and I'm going to take Francesca off the network entirely. So you won't see her on any of the TYT shows going forward.
Why you call your employer a bitch?
That's insane. He owns literally all the stuff you do.
Like, why would you do that? Like,
Over
that's
a dumb statement.
That's just because you didn't agree. Like, what he said, what she was mad about him saying was facts. Men are stronger than women. A woman at her peak in her legs. Don't explain it to me. All right, yeah, there's no point. Yeah.
I already explained it. I put everything in there. So hopefully you saw it. Okay. But he's right. None of them listen. If there's any liberals in here, I'll be very surprised. But I would thank you for watching and I would appreciate your time. Let's continue.
No, yes. Believe it or not, she did not stop there. This is now another show. Watch.
So Jake's line up until this point has been, no, it's at the collegiate level and above. I think once you get to the college level and above, that's when it's bad. So he would be on board with what the NCAA said recently. But you're so dumb. You're so dumb. I don't even know how to explain it to you anymore. Unless, this is the other option, unless you also are a transphobe. You know what I'm saying? Unless you also are kind of a misogynist.
Yeah, so pretty much if anyone on the Democratic side disagrees with the trans stuff, you're immediately a transphobe. You're immediately a right-wing psychopath. Okay, the Democrats for a period of time labeled Cenk as a right-winger. And maybe it wasn't completely a right-winger, but they tried to frame him that way. And I just think that's so hilarious.
Because if you disagree with Francesca or anyone on that part of the spectrum, well, you must be a misogynist. You must be collaborating with the fascists. And obviously you must be unintelligent. Now, if I had called her dumb, I wonder what her reaction would have been. My guess is nuclear. But I didn't call her that because we have a disagreement. We have a political disagreement. You don't need to make it personal. Not done yet. One last one.
What has it got you? What did it get you? When you go and share a stage with Dr. Phil, what did it get you? Nothing. You know why? Because you look like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? You look like a bitch. That's what it is. Like, that's just what it comes down to. You don't look like a fighter.
Yeah.
You don't look smart. You look like a bitch. It's just the reality. I've tried to tell it to you nicely. I've tried to tell it to you cordially. I've tried to tell it to you on your show, on my show, on every show. And so either you A, are a bitch, or B, you actually agree with the right. And I'm starting to think, in fact, I do think.
Stop it there. Wow. Hold on. Why is this even a political agreement? Women's sports. Well, let's continue.
We're talking about men and women's spaces in general.
Yeah, in spaces, women's spaces.
That is literally common sense.
It's interesting that she's mad that he's engaging with talks with people from the other side and finding mutual agreement, and that's somehow a bad thing.
That's where we're stopping. Oh, don't look at the hole in my socks, y'all. Okay, don't look at my toes. How rude. That's funny. Okay, that's it. That's all I got this time. All right, I really wanted to get this trans stuff out, so I didn't want to interrupt it too much. And next time we will be talking about the divide, the great divide in America. Okay, and it's gotten worse, so that one's definitely going to be longer than this. All right, I will see you next time.